A DDoS attack is one of the most potent and prevalent cyber threats on the internet, capable of crippling websites, online services, and entire networks. But how do these malicious assaults work? How are they executed? And most importantly, how do you shield your company's digital assets from their devastating impact? Today, I'll be discussing and diving into the murky world of distributed denial of service, or DDoS, attacks. Hello, I'm Michael Kinnett, CEO and founder of Eternal Networks, and every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I go live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and my personal LinkedIn pages to discuss the latest tech and cyberspace news that might affect you and your business. At the end of our live session, I'll also be answering any questions from the audience. So if you have any business, technology, or cybersecurity questions, get them ready. I'll make sure to leave some time to cover those at the end. To start off with, I wanted to talk about a couple things in the news, and it's directly related to our topic. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I picked this topic for this week. Cloudflare is a cybersecurity company. They do, among many things, they actually help mitigate against denial of service attacks. But they've reported an alarming surge in sophistication, escalation in recent months of DDoS attacks. Many of them are related to Russia and Russian-affiliated criminal organizations, and they're targeting lots of U.S.-based companies. In researching this and looking at other news articles, there were literally dozens of articles within the last month on DDoS attacks. And in fact, just a couple of weeks ago, CISA, which stands for the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency, issued warnings that there are ongoing DDoS attacks that are going after U.S. organizations across multiple different industries. Some examples of these from the news. I talked about this a couple weeks ago. There was an outage with Microsoft 365 and some of their services over the course of a couple of days. There was a result of a DDoS attack from the organization known as Anonymous Sudan, who is affiliated with Russia. And this attack on Microsoft affected users around the globe and took down some of their services and sites like SharePoint. Anonymous Sudan has also claimed other attacks in recent weeks, including the following: taking down the U.S. Commerce Department website, the U.S. Treasury federal tax payment system, and Stripe, which is a merchant services company that many businesses use for processing credit and debit card transactions as part of their ongoing operations. So there's been a lot of stuff in the news, a lot of these type of distributed denial of service and denial of service attacks. And so that leads us up to the topic of today is what are these DDoS attacks and what can you do to protect your business? So first, you have to understand what we're talking about here. And at its core, a DDoS attack is like an overwhelming tsunami of traffic unleashed upon a target. To understand how it works, envision this. Thousands or even millions of infected computers, known as botnets, are remotely controlled by cyber criminals. These botnets simultaneously flood a target server or network with an enormous volume of requests, far beyond its capacity to handle. As a result, the target becomes inaccessible to legitimate users, leading to downtime, slow response times, and in worst case scenarios, complete service or network disruption. The sophistication and scale of DDoS attacks have evolved over time, making them a formidable challenge to organizations of all sizes. Another analogy that I recently heard that I really liked is, think about a pizza restaurant, right? Pick your favorite pizza place, right? If they're used to delivering 100 pizzas an hour and they start getting orders for thousands of pizzas an hour, what do you think that's going to do to their success of being able to deliver the pizzas to the legitimate customers, right? So if they're staffed up and they have the capacity of delivering 100, and all of a sudden they have 10 or even 100 times that coming through, and mixed in with those orders are legitimate orders, right? They're not going to be able to fulfill all orders, and that business is going to suffer. So there's a couple of different types of DDoS attacks, and I want to talk a little bit about some of those. So there's volumetric attacks, there's application layer protocol attacks, reflection attacks, and all of these different attacks attack different parts of the networking stack. So and each of them can take down different components of the system. And so it's important that you know, and I don't want to get super technical on a lot of this stuff, but it's important that you evaluate and you know that these attacks can come from different areas, from different systems, and can attack different networking layers. But the majority of them, it's volume, right? That's where they get you, is the volume, by completely overwhelming your system's capacity of responding to those legitimate requests. So how can you prevent a DDoS attack? First, it's important that you have a firewall in your organization that is capable of responding to a DDoS attack. Firewalls are able to, especially the newer gen firewalls with the advanced systems, have the ability of doing rate limiting, so they can limit how much gets passed through the firewall to your internal systems. They have intrusion prevention systems, which are able to recognize where things are coming from and recognize those potential intrusions or attacks that are coming from areas of the world that maybe you don't want your systems responding to. And the newer firewalls that have machine learning and additional, intelligence built into them are able to recognizing, through some analytics of recognizing and discarding the traffic that could be a denial of service or a DDoS service. Another thing that's important is to make sure that your software is up to date, your systems are patched, right? You use secure passwords, all the other good cybersecurity hygiene that we talk about. If at all possible, don't expose your systems to the internet. Obviously, you need internet access, but if you're not exposing servers and systems to the public, meaning that other people access sites and services that are running on things behind your firewall, then that's going to allow you to be better protected from these type of attacks as well. If you do need to access internal resources, you can use virtual private networks or VPNs, or ZTNA applications, or SASE apps. There's various different ways of accessing internal resources for your team or your company without exposing those to the web and these potential types of attacks. It's also important that you monitor your networks closely for suspicious activity. It's important that the systems that you have in place are able to alert your team, right, of any of these potential issues of increases in traffic, especially of increases in traffic of large volume over a short period of time, so that you can then respond quickly to add new firewall rules, to implement new services, or to route that traffic somewhere else so that your sites and applications and servers do not go offline. Another thing that you can use is WAF, which is a web application firewall. Cloudflare, who I mentioned when we talk about the news, offers web application firewall services as well as other proxy services for your domain names and your IP addresses. And they do that for free. Some of those services they offer for free because they believe that every business should have protection against denial of service and other type attacks. And so by implementing something like that, they have a much better capability of discarding denial of service attacks and routing that traffic elsewhere so that your sites and services can still remain online. And finally, it's important you have an emergency plan in case of an attack, right? What are you going to do if your system alerts you that, hey, there's been a huge increase in volume and we believe that we have a denial of service attack in place? What firewall rules need to be added? Who needs to do what? Do we need to notify anybody? Have a plan in place so that if that does happen, you can respond quickly and effectively to mitigate that attack. In the digital landscape where DDoS attacks loom as an ever-present threat, it's important that you work to safeguard your business online presence. And it's not really an option anymore. Really, it's a necessity. And here at Eternal Networks, our team understands the critical importance of protecting your business from these disruptive assaults. Our cutting-edge DDoS protection services employ state-of-the-art technology such as Cloudflare, one of the vendors that we utilize, to detect and mitigate attacks in real time, ensuring uninterrupted access to your websites and services. So don't wait for disaster to strike. Secure your online assets today. You can schedule an appointment with us anytime at eternalnetworks.us/schedule, or you can reach us on our website. So if you have any questions, even if you're not looking to purchase services through us, but just had some questions on how you can make sure you're protected, we feel very strongly here at Eternal Networks that every business needs cybersecurity in place, whether you get it from us or someone else. As long as you've got those protections and you're increasing your cyber resilience, that's our goal. So I'd love to answer any questions along those lines as well. I also want to mention, yesterday we had our monthly educational webinar. We talked about artificial intelligence for your business. Don't underestimate the impact that AI can have on your success and your business. By embracing AI, you can definitely outshine your competitors and transform your business operations. So if you're interested in watching the replay, I'll post a link to that in the chat once I get off of here live. Let me just check and see if there's anybody. I don't see any live questions on here. So if any of you do have any comments or questions, you can always contact me via direct message. You can call our office, email the team, go to our website at itnet.works. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week.